Hi everybody, Brian Good here on this Tuesday. We're going to keep it with the earliest alert title for at least another couple of days, and may be able to get back to Snow Talk by Friday, but by that point probably would do Facebook Live anyway. Okay, before we get into that mess for the weekend, this morning, if you look carefully, you can see the morning clouds riding through here. They drifted to the northwest, and then you see these other clouds moving in now from the southeast. I know it's really hard to see, but we really cleared out rapidly, but it was wild to see areas that cleared out in the 20s west of Louisville this morning. Wow, Louisville, about 43 was the lowest we got to. Okay, so here's a wider setup, and our next system is already waiting for us. So these clouds here, they're high level on the front end, and then lower level clouds once you get into here. These high level clouds should stream in here tonight. The coverage of them will determine if we get any fog or not, because the wind should remain fairly light, but the increase in cloud cover may lend to preventing from fog from being an issue. Either way, the rain again will be moving in from the west as we head throughout the day tomorrow. Let me show you what it looks like here in Futurecast. We'll start the chance very low in the far western counties early on, but I think it's going to be mainly a midday afternoon event for a lot of us, including here in Louisville. The heaviest will be to the west of 65, and by the time we get to the east of 65, the front begins to lose a lot of its definition. A little breezy at times too, by the way, as this moves in. And that losing a definition will cause the intensity of the rain to back off, but it will also allow for the moisture to kind of get laid out and dragged through wave country for tomorrow night. That may linger into parts of Thursday. We may get stuck under some clouds again Thursday, if not a foggy scenario. It's kind of a toss-up there how Thursday will play out in the morning, but I'm not going full-on sun yet for Thursday for a lot of us until I get a better handle on how much moisture is being left behind by this front tomorrow. So just kind of a cautionary heads up there, the Thursday's forecast. As far as temperature and cloud cover, a big question, but nothing major. Okay, so let's get right into the setup. And what we're going to do first is I'm going to show you the wide model trends all the way through Thanksgiving, like I always do. And then we'll backtrack and talk about the Friday, Saturday, but at least want to give you an idea of the overall pattern, because I think there's a story here to be told, certainly as we head into the long term. Here is the GFS. For those of you that are new to seeing this is the green is the rainfall. Pink is the mixed, and blue is the snow, blue and white. And then underneath that is the temperature profile. And of course, once you get into these reds and purples, that's the colder temperature. So we're starting off with Thursday morning. The front's already to our east. This is the GFS model. As we head into Friday, this is going to be Friday night. It keeps us dry. GFS does most of the day Friday. So expect some changes. We may have to pull back on the rain chance Friday and put everything on Saturday if the trend holds. But not exactly warm. We're starting to warm up as we get into the overnight period, but it brings the rain in roughly sunrise to about 2 p.m. Saturday. It brings the rain in. But notice a couple of things. First off, the angle of the trough is what we call a positive tilt. If you look at your keyboard, the forward slash, the backslash, anytime you get a forward tilt to a trough, your severe potential is diminished, and you're dealing with a linear setup when it comes to straight line wind potential that can happen. Not exactly a tornado type of deal. So that is the first indicator that severe potential is not great when it comes to anything crazy, but the straight line wind potential and wind fields in general still need to be watched as we head into Saturday morning. Again, this is GFS. As we head into the backlash of this, it tries to keep any flurry action on the backlash on Sunday to our north. We will likely get into some sunshine, but the more north you travel, the more you'll get under the upper low and the cloud deck, and then snow showers and flurries off the lakes there. The angle of the wind is key on that. The angle looks to be sharp enough to the southeast to prevent anything really from moving in here. Then we head into early next week. Here's where the differences kick in. GFS then begins to develop this wave that's going to drop in from the plains in central Canada. As that dives in from the northwest and its southeast, it will then begin to sharpen up right over the Ohio Valley and begin to dig. And as that dig happens, we'll get some rainfall on the travel day. And then we get on the backside, we get into the colder setup as we head into Thanksgiving morning and Thanksgiving afternoon. And when that happens, we begin to see the trend to a colder setup that's going to allow for it to go over to a period of some snow on the northwest side of that. So there it is on the travel day. And as we animate further, you'll be able to see how it gets into that colder scenario for Thanksgiving morning, a brief period of snow, and then colder and snow showers for the Black Friday shoppers there on that Friday. That's the GFS idea. Now they're thinking, oh, well, that's great. How perfect would that be? A burst of wet snow Thanksgiving morning? Kind of cool. Then here comes the Euro. The Euro, we'll start you back. Reset. Here we are. Thursday, front for tomorrow is already to our east. Now, here we are Friday night. It has some rain with the warm front. But look at Saturday afternoon. We're not really into the cold front yet. It really slows everything down. But it, too, has that positive tilt to the trough. So another indicator that severe potential is not intense here with this. And then as we get into Saturday night, then we get into the bulk of the rain and maybe some thunderstorms. Now, here's the setup on this severe potential with this front, is that when you have strong wind fields like we will have, you only have to go up about 3,000, 4,000 feet up, and you run into winds that are over 60 miles per hour. Typically, in this scenario, we have to watch for instability, because if you have instability, you develop thunderstorms, and the clouds build and they get tall. When they get tall, they can push into 3,000 to 4,000 foot layer, of course, above us, and they are able to then take a hold of that wind belt that's way up there and grab it and be able to pull it down to the ground level, and then you get wind damage. That's why we're watching for the instability. However, considering the wind belt is only 3,000 to 4,000 feet up, even a band of heavy showers would be tall enough to take advantage of that wind belt. So even though we may not have thunder at all at this entire event Friday night and Saturday, that's possible. We may not get any thunder. We could still get some reports of wind damage across the area because of these pockets of strong winds aloft. It's a very weird setup, but very common at the same time for us here in the cold season. So that's the Euro idea. Euro much slower. Again, GFS Saturday morning, Euro Saturday night. Either way, Saturday seems to be the day that it's leaning toward. Then we get into the backlash on Sunday into Monday. Notice it's very progressive, which supports the indices that it would be a progressive cold air upper low, not exactly digging. But then here's the difference as we get into the next week. Another dig happens as we head into the travel day. So instead of an organized system, we get a more digging of the cold air, but not much precipitation. However, you can still get, with that digging scenario, maybe some moisture off the lakes then. The flow may line up right enough to provide for some flurries for Thanksgiving and Black Friday. It's possible. Not going to rule it out. But here's the bottom line for the Friday, Saturday. Timing, of course, Friday night and Saturday afternoon. I can tell you right now we're leaning more towards Saturday, period. Rainfall, severe threat is low. But the wind's going to watch out. Even outside of all this rain, the wind's going to ramp up Friday night regardless, up to 30 miles per hour gust, and then over 35. And we got to watch for higher gusts when those heavier rain showers. Now, looking at the next week's setup, here is GFS, here is the Euro, and here's the Canadian on their operational runs and then ensembles that smooth out their crazy ideas. Look at that system for next week. Look how wound up the GFS is versus the Euro is cold but very amplified. I mean, it's got the warm surge way up here in Canada. When you look at the ensembles of each one of them, though, they actually are lining up a little more with the Euro idea versus the extreme of the GFS. Okay, let me show you another way of looking at this. Here's the GFS. What it has, we call this an omega block, the jet stream. It digs out in the Pacific, goes way up into Canada, and then digs again over us. It's like the Greek symbol omega. When you get omega block, you get a lot of problems with the models. Usually things don't turn out very well at all on the model. So that's why I'm going with a cautionary trend here, guys. Having said that, what it's doing is it's taking energy across the Arctic and digs it. And it's showing a vort that's kind of already there from our system that moves in Friday, Saturday, but it digs in this new one deeply into the Ohio Valley, producing that wound-up system for the travel day and Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, the Euro idea, it has the amplified idea, the omega block, but it only sees the one that comes in Friday and Saturday that digs in, but it does not show anything digging over the Ohio Valley. In fact, it does show that separate piece that comes around the Arctic. If you look a day before that, you see it. But it's not going way down into our area. It actually makes the turn to join in with that main low across Nova Scotia. It does that across the Great Lakes. It doesn't dig into the Ohio Valley. It digs way earlier than that. Therefore, what happens is the energy you got underneath this ridge cuts underneath it. And then you get a southern stream system, which gets pushed to the south because this is going to go down. So we're either going to end up with a cold, dry scenario, a few flurries, or we're going to end up with a more phased idea. It all depends on how this little piece around the Arctic rounds about. And right now, the Euro is saying it won't do it. Why am I still having the forecast? Because the Canadian still sees the opportunity for that second piece to dig into the Ohio Valley. Its ensemble does not, but its operational run does. But that is going to be the key factor. Are we going to see a dig around the Arctic here, or are we going to see it kind of around the base earlier, and therefore all we get is the system misses us to the south, and we get just a cold influence dropping in from the north. Indices do all support cold. In fact, the analogs support a much colder scenario for next week. So a lot of questions, guys, But we got to get through Friday, Saturday first, and then we'll tackle next week. So hang tight.